Welcome back. Over the last two lessons we built VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and index/match on this same product catalog, matching a search key to a price or a product ID. All of that worked because our data was clean, one value per cell, no stray characters. Real spreadsheets are rarely that tidy. Names arrive with extra spaces, imported records come as one long line separated by commas or pipes, and typos sneak into fields that get copied 100 times. This lesson is about the toolkit for fixing that, joining text together with concatenate, breaking a single value apart with split, stripping invisible extra spaces with trim, and swapping out a specific piece of text with substitute. We'll build a friendly product label from this catalog first, then bring in a small batch of messy raw records to clean up. Let's build a readable label for each product with concatenate, which joins text values end to end. In N2, the first argument is B2. Next comes a literal string in quotes containing a space and an opening parenthesis, then C2, and finally a closing parenthesis in quotes. Sheet joins those four pieces into one string. Typed and confirmed, the formula returns the product name followed by its category in parentheses, built entirely from cells we already had. The ampersand operator can join the same pieces, but concatenate makes every argument especially easy to identify while you're learning. Selecting the formula together with the empty cells below and filling down gives every row in the catalog its own label in one step. Now let's work with text the way it often arrives, as one long line. Here are two raw records, each packing a SKU, a product name, and a category into a single cell, separated by pipe characters. Split takes a text value and a delimiter and spreads the pieces across the row automatically. Split of A11 and a pipe in quotes, typed into a single cell and confirmed, and three separate values now sit in B11, C11, and D11, without us touching those cells directly, because split spills its results sideways. Filling that same formula down into row 12 gives us the second record's pieces just as easily, using the fill-down habit from earlier lessons. Notice something in the first record though, some of those pieces don't quite look clean if you look closely at the spacing around them. We'll deal with that next. Look closely at C11, wireless mouse, but with padding around it and a repeated internal space that can be easy to miss. Those extra spaces came from the original raw record, and split preserved every one of them. Trim removes leading, trailing, and repeated internal spaces, so trim of C11 gives us a genuinely clean copy of that product name. But don't take clean on faith. Exact compares two strings and returns true only if they match character for character. Exact of C11 and E11 returns false. The raw split value and its trimmed version are not actually the same text, even though they look nearly identical on screen. Filling both formulas down to row 12 tells a different story there. That record had no stray spaces to begin with, so raw and trimmed already match, and exact returns true. An invisible space is exactly the kind of thing that breaks a match or VLOOKUP with false for an exact match, so trimming imported text is cheap insurance. One more common mess, a typo inside a text field. Look at D12, Electornics, two letters swapped, instead of Electronics. Retyping it by hand works for one cell, but not for 1,000. Substitute replaces every occurrence of a specific piece of text with a replacement you choose. Substitute of D11, the misspelled text in quotes, and the correct spelling in quotes, typed against row 11 first, where the category is already spelled correctly, so the formula simply passes the text through unchanged. Nothing to substitute, nothing lost. Filling that same formula down to row 12 tells a different story. There, the misspelling actually exists, and substitute quietly corrects it. One formula, applied broadly, fixes exactly the cells that need fixing and leaves everything else untouched. Let's review everything side by side, one meaningful block at a time so nothing gets too small to read. Here's the source catalog we started from. Here are the product labels concatenate built from it. Here are the raw pipe-delimited records split broke apart. And here's the cleanup pass, trim stripping invisible spaces, exact proving the difference, and substitute correcting a typo without touching the row that didn't need it. These text tools work together to turn messy, real-world text into something the rest of your formulas can actually rely on. Next lesson we'll move from text into dates and times, parsing them, doing arithmetic across days and months, and formatting a timestamp so it reads naturally instead of as a raw serial number.